Hello, my name is Niels Fleging. Today I would like to recommend a book to you, a big book, a huge book, a book that you should read. And it's such a big book that it's three books really. It's a little bit like the Lord of the Rings of business administration and organizational development. Those of you who know the book now already know which piece of work I'm referring to. But first, a little bit of context. In this section, books to read, I recommend books that you should read if you are interested in organizing, management, organizational development, um, social dynamics in organizations, change, leaderships, that kind of stuff. So lots of topics, and I recently published a piece about how today's movements for contemporary or progressive organizing have failed to embrace theory. The agile movement has kind of rejected theory uh, from all kinds of fields, really. The lean movement before that made the same mistake, rejecting insight and available theory from fields like organizational development, sociology, psychology, systems theory, etc. And it was pretty much the same with total quality management, in spite of the beginnings with pioneers like W. Edwards Deming. Then people within the movement, when it became a fad and a fashion, started to reject theory as well. So movements like total quality management, lean and agile, consistently developed a bias against theory. Going to great lengths to isolate themselves from already available insights from fields as banal as business sciences, business studies, and psychology or statistics or whatever. So there was one movement that predates total quality management that was the exact opposite to lean and agile in that sense. It embraced theory, it integrated theory from all kinds of sciences. And that movement, which then later inspired the Beyond Budgeting Roundtable, and which also inspired the Beta Codex movement. That movement's name was Socio-Technical Systems. Socio-Technical Systems, STS, powerful movement that started in the 1950s, 60s, and kind of faded away in the 1990s. But it had a history that its history spanned 4 decades or so. So very persistent movement for progressive management, for progressive organizing, very well organized. Of course, over time, it created sub communities. It was very successful. People like, I mean, everybody in management referred to it. People like Douglas McGregor were associated. I mean, everybody. It's ridiculous to try to find names that weren't associated at the time with socio-technical systems, with the socio-technical systems movement. So this movement, it was extremely long lasting. Of course, it created fractions, especially then between the Europeans and the Americans, with the Americans taking a somewhat lighter and less theory oriented approach, interestingly. Yeah. So maybe the disdain for theory started to set in on the American side first. So the STS, the Socio-Technical Systems Movement, it has a vivid history. It spanned decades. It was very successful for a period of decades, and they published. Oh my God, they published, right? The main names attached to STS were Eric Trist and Fred Emery. Yeah, they are by no means the only notable members uh, of the movement, but Fred Emery and Eric Trist, they they were the head and heart of STS, one might say. They published a lot. They were both, I would say, writers, authors, and researchers. Fred Emery was probably more the academic, Eric Trist more the practitioner, consultant type. more capable of translating and integrating people. Fred Emery probably more the loner type, the you know lone researcher type, but his wife Marilyn Emery, she's still publishing STS stuff. She's still around, over 90 years old, so you might look up her website. But the main work of STS was in the 1990s. It was published as an anthology. The real name of this anthology is A Tavistock Anthology. Yeah. This is one of the three volumes I'm talking about. This is volume 3, published I think in 1997, the last volume, and a Tavistock anthology. But the official title of these three books is The Social Engagement of Social Science. Very interesting title, because I think it talks about embracing theory for practice, right? The social engagement of social science. That's the title of the trilogy of books I'm talking about in today's episode. As you can see, I have the first volume in an odd paperback edition. The original, the hardcover edition is red. I have a cheaper paperback edition here. These are the more widely available editions from 19. I think published the first volume published in 1990, the second published in 1992 or 93, and the last published in 1997. And as you can see, they are very voluminous. They all have more than 600 pages. So overall, this is really the Lord of the Rings in business administration, right? And the topics are so far-reaching, so wide-ranging. The STS was inspired, one might say, by the work of Kurt Lewin in the 1930s and 40s, and his peers, his researcher group. Eric Trist had a direct connection, and some others here in STS had a direct connection, a direct relationship with Kurt Lewin, who passed away in 1947. So when STS started at the Tavistock Institute, which still exists, which is still around, this project, socio-technical systems research project, started at the Tavistock Institute in England, and it was, as it came out of Kurt Lewin's research in social psychology, it was very interested in group dynamics, in psychological effects within groups, and so on. And that's the focus on of this first volume, of the first years of STS. And then in later stages of the work, STS got more and more involved with organizational topics, organizational research, and also cases and so on. So fantastic. What I can say is this work is fantastic. If you uh, if you only want to buy three books on organizational behavior, organizational development, these should probably be the books you should buy. You can pick any of these books, especially volume 2 and 3. I think are especially notable for today's practitioners. There's so much in it. If you are a little bit familiar with the Beta Codex movement, with Beta Codex work that we are doing on beta organizing, which the socio-technical systems people had keen insights into already. You will find pearls here. And also, if you want to learn about how to organize change and transformation, how to approach it, how to do it, how to make it last, and so on, you will find lots of inspiration in these books. Again, the most notable thing about STS probably being that they spanned practice and work with cases and academic research and consulting and generating theory from it. And that's so interesting about these volumes. There are so many great articles in all these volumes. There is an article in one of the volumes by Russell Eckhoff that is fantastic, one of his best pieces. There are articles by lots of articles, of course, by Eric Trist, by P.G. Herbst. Fantastic work by Hugh Murray. These articles. There's great work about democratic organization and the democratic organizing movement in Norway or in Scandinavia in general. Excellent writing, wonderful insights, stuff that you can read and digest and read again. And I think you will find lots of delightful inspiration here. Of course, there are articles by Marilyn Emery as well. And what I found quite notable is the work of Calvin Pava, who passed away way too early in his 30s. So, fantastic articles here. Lots of text, as you can see, lots of volume, and lots of keen insight. What I have to remark personally is that you will find, the first flashes of insight around beta organizing, about decentralization, about cell structure design, about relative targets, about even open space beta. You will find the first flashes here, the first, approaches or methods that envisioned this kind of approach, that today we call open space beta, cell structure design, relative targets. So if you want to get to the foundations, where do the foundations come from? What did we know about these things 50, 60 years ago already? These are great sources to refer to, to look into. Such beautiful writing, crisp editing. These books are worth buying. The Social Engagement of Social Science, at Tavistock Anthology, volumes 1, 2, and 3, not to miss. See you again very soon.